Suzanne herself is part of that tradition of women epitomised by people like Margaret Fry and Mary Lily Walker, who've invested not just their abilities but their heart in the cause of securing better outcomes for children and for sort of reaching out for marginalised people in our society. It's my very great privilege to introduce Suzanne.
And it's wonderful to be back in this very room where I have taught for a lot of years. And I have been stunned at the turnout for tonight.
Well, I think Suzanne's a very powerful speaker.
Suzanne is incredibly moving and very emotional in the way she speaks, and that really draws you in.
I think that's amazing, that in wanting to talk about prisons and what happens for traumatized people who live in prisons, people also want to come and hear about babies. I think there's a wonderful coming together of two agendas.
It was really good. It was brilliant. She seemed to engage people really quickly, and she's got a very accessible and emotional way of speaking that was, really engaging.
Suzanne's delivery style is tremendous. I have already said, I've heard her speaking before. And there's something just about this galvanising, and I love the way that she brings her teaching to life.
Because that's what we're doing in Scotland. Along with a number of other societies, we build brains that are well suited to prison because of the way in which we engage with many of our children.
I think Suzanne's ability to put over that message is absolutely, it's stunning. I can't say much more about it. She just made it so simple but so effective.
What our prisons tell us about our society. Because for me, that's what tonight is an opportunity to do. It's not just to talk about the really exciting neuroscience and psychology of babies and families and relationships, but it's actually to think about what all of this tells us about how we're currently organizing our society, and how if we want to reduce prison populations and help the families of those people who are in prisons, we need to think at a really societal level.
I think today's talk gave me, sort of reinforced my feeling, my understanding that early years is incredibly important, and that the people that we're seeing today in the criminal justice system were people who yesterday we would have said were victims.
When we get things right for our babies, we will be getting things right in prison. Until we get things right for our babies, we will not get things right in prison, because we won't get what prisoners who happen to be people who suffered trauma get until we understand what our babies need.
From tonight's talk, I am taking away some inspiration and also re-emphasising the importance of relationship.
I've just started a new job where I have to train foster parents in attachment theory and how it affects them and the families that they're building. So it's a huge inspiration, I guess, in how I'm going to develop my own training programme along these lines.
With regards to tonight and what I've learned tonight and I can take into my workplace, well, I will be telling the team about it. I have to say that I've heard Suzanne speak before and I've read the book, so I had a good idea of what maybe talked about. But in the context of prison, I found it quite informative, as it were, because when Suzanne spoke tonight to a huge audience, speaking the language of saber-toothed tigers and teddy bears, I thought, do you know what? You can use it with anybody. It's not just an internal mechanism for learning. It's actually something that you can say to everybody and they can understand that.
Can you go and tell people why joyful parenting is part of the solution to all sorts of problems we have? Does this make sense to you? How we are building brains that are suited to prison. You know, for some people, prison is the safest place they've ever been in their life.
Suzanne has incredible energy, and I agree, she draws you in completely. And you feel like everybody in that room must be actually feeling the same way. And if only we could go out and do what she says is the thing that's going to make the difference.
And I like being able to bring a message of hope to numbers like that. If we take this seriously, then we have the solutions, and that's why I love it. That's why I'm excited by it. If we don't get this stuff, it says something about where our society is. So when we start to think about saber-toothed tigers and teddy bears, and we start to think, what does it mean to be in Scotland? And we start to ask, what would it take for Scotland to be the best place in the world to grow up? It will take laughter and compassion and kindness. Thank you very much.